books on the table always make people curious. They're worn at the edges, thick with years, their pages filled with careful handwriting and numbers that only make sense if you lived a life in the air. Flight logs, nearly 28 years worth. Army and Coast Guard, helicopters, missions, miles. But one trip lives louder than the rest. September 1996. We lifted off from Coast Guard Air Station Elizabeth City, Point A, as I like to call it, bound for Air Station Kodiak, Alaska, Point B. I was flying an 860 Jayhawk with a crew that made the journey as unforgettable as the destination. It wasn't just a flight. It was a crossing of a continent, low and slow, the kind of view you can't buy a ticket for. We skimmed the land like we belonged to it. The plains of Kansas stretched wide and endless, and at one point a group of antelope caught sight of us. They ran, white tails flashing, flagging us. It felt like racing a helicopter as we were part of their world for just a moment. Farther west, Wyoming rose up in ancient shapes. Those rock formations you see in textbooks, suddenly real, massive and humbling. Not pictures anymore, not diagrams, just time carved in stone. In Bozeman, I brought along a fly rod. Figured I might get lucky. I did. My first brown trout, pulled from the cold, clear water. A quiet moment between the roar of engines. And then there were the horses. 3 of them. Beautiful, dark brown, standing alone in the middle of nowhere, like they'd been placed there on purpose. No fences, no roads, just open land and those 3 figures watching us pass overhead. I still don't know why that sight stuck with me the way it did, but it did. We crossed the Cascade Mountains and landed in Vancouver, British Columbia for the night. The city felt alive, buzzing in contrast to the quiet spaces we'd just flown over. But the next morning, the sky had other plans. Fog. Thick, stubborn, unmoving. We climbed, tried to get above it, but it held us in, forcing us into instrument flight, into calculations. Fuel became the deciding voice, and it told us to turn back. We diverted to Sands Pit, British Columbia, a place so small it barely seemed to exist, population around 50 at the time, quiet in a way that felt almost forgotten. The next day, the fog was still there. We pushed forward anyway, flying low, 300 feet above the water for nearly 45 minutes, just gray, just instruments, just trust. And then, just like that, everything changed. Poof! Clear blue sky. It didn't fade, it didn't thin, it broke. 1 second we were inside the fog and the next we were out. Sunlight flooding the cockpit. I looked left, I looked right. Behind us, the fog stood like a wall, solid, white, impossible, like we had flown through something real, something with weight. I've never forgotten that moment. On the approach into Kodiak, Alaska revealed itself in pieces. Mountain goats clinging to impossible cliffs, seals scattered along the shoreline, eagles cutting through the air like they owned it. It felt less like arriving somewhere and more like being allowed in, a trip of a lifetime. It's been 30 years. The logbooks are still here, but the hands that wrote them have changed. The missions are over. The aircraft are quieter now. 6 wheels instead of rotors. But the road is calling. This time I'll travel by land in a leisure travel van, a high-quality product made in Canada, from North Carolina to Anchorage, Alaska, tracing a path not so different from the one we flew all those years ago, slower, closer to the ground, maybe with more time to stop where we once only passed overhead. I wonder if the antelope are still out there, if the rivers near Bozeman still run as clear, if somewhere in the middle of nowhere 3 wild horses still stand and watch the world go by. Some journeys never really end. They just wait for you to return.